Initialize sequence.
Yo, what up? This is Prozac. This is Shags 2 Dope from Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, this is Brief.
Yo, this be the one them called Tech 9.
What's up? This is Mad Child.
This is your boy Spider-Man, a.k.a. Brother Lynch.
Jared from Head PE.
Yo, what up? This is Hop.
My name is Recognize.
This is Boondock.
Yo, this Blaze You Down, homie.
Welcome to the Underground, Australia's home of underground music.
Here we go for episode 3 of the Underground Amped. It is Ned, joined by the panel, Mr. Nim Azor. Nim, how are you?
Hello, Nettie. Always great to be, via the phone line into another great pot of awesomeness.
Yeah, here we go again. And man, sitting to my left, as per last week's joke when Jay was trying to work out his left and right, is the one, the only, J.L. Byrne, without the sunglasses this week, Nim. And he explained why. And you're going to love this. Well, I've got to read stuff this week.
We're not...
So, in other words, he's just been sitting in here in the pitch black.
Oh, God. Jay.
I'm just that dude that just chills in the corner with zero bleeps to give. Very funny.
No, I'll tell you what, though, Jay. It shows a level of thinking. We record this podcast pretty early on a Saturday morning, and a lot of people like to, do their errands. Maybe people go to the shops and get all Saturday sport here in Australia. But no, Jay likes to think, let's get the priorities straight. Coffee? Check. Sunglasses, because I'm going to read.
Well, you're right with the coffee check part. That's always priority number one.
That is always priority number one. And as I pitch, this is the thing. You are not a morning person, Jay, because as we've mentioned numerous times, you are a creature of the night. Generally, we'll see you up and about when the sun is down. You don't really like to spend too much time amongst the day walkers. So I just like the fact to a picture that you're up and about on a Saturday morning. It's like an episode of Saved by the Bell. You jumped out, the alarm clock's ringing. It's like, I need a coffee. You probably head down to a Macca's coffee, I'm assuming, and I just like the picture.
He's nodding
Good assumption.
again.
Good assumption. And yeah, you are right. I am very nocturnal, so...
I just like the picture that, in a drive-thru on a Saturday, there's like a 15-year-old, just doing a little something to, get a bit of cheddar to get through so they can, buy the latest Xbox or PS4 game, or just to, get some income into their little, young lives. And all of a sudden, through the drive-thru speaker, it's like, hi, sir, can I please take your order? Just one coffee here!
I like it a lot, and that sort of leads me to this story here, Nim. Just really quickly, it is a Saturday morning here, and we are doing this at a commercial radio station. And last week, or it was actually the week before, my boss walked in with her daughter, who was at the window, and she's a gorgeous little girl, and she's all smiles. And then just went all weird, and I never thought any more of it until I was talking to the boss a little bit later on, and she goes, oh, yeah, she saw a scary man in there and just kept talking about the scary man. Have a guess who the scary man was, Nim?
It certainly wasn't John Fitzgerald, I can tell you that. But, look, we mentioned scary men, but we do need to remember that Jay is a very intimidating cat. It's sort of the same thing that would happen if, like a child went and saw Jason Voorhees in the studio sitting there. The key point, 2 scary Jasons, but we'll push on.
We will push on, and we will jump into the music-related stuff, because each week we say next week, but here, let's throw to it, Jay.
Raiders, baby! All right, so music-wise, we've got a bunch of really, really great tours coming up on the hard rock and metal side. We got POD going to be hitting our shores on April 17th to the 21st. You can get your tickets through Metropolis Touring. Wednesday 13, not Wednesday the 13th. I think he just secretly do that to try to get some sort of reaction. Like, is he going to crack me? What's he going to do?
No, in all honesty, I honestly thought it was Wednesday the 13th.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, all good, man.
And
so
just real quick on that topic, I was talking to Wednesday the 13th yesterday, and he'll be on next week's show, and he seemed to know much about our Underground Album of the Year that he won last year, is what Herbs knew about a shower. He was like shocked, which makes me think, how many of these dudes actually run their social media? Because I was talking to someone at Wednesday the 13th's Twitter all about it, and I assumed it was him, but obviously not.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, going back on the topic of Wednesday 13 or the 13th, depending on who you are. The 26th to the
That's
29th.
very funny, Jay. Well done.
It is pretty funny, isn't it? He's had his coffee.
I've lost my spot. No, I haven't. Raiders, baby! 26th to the 29th of April, you can get your tickets from Destroy All Lines and The Underground Australia. We got Seether hitting our shores as well between May 23rd and 26th, DRW Entertainment for that. And finally, Machine Head 17th to the 24th of July, once again through Metropolis Touring. Get your tickets now. You do not want to miss those. There's going to be a bunch of awesome shows.
Whoa, it is. There you go. And see, and to those who thought Jay couldn't read, I just witnessed it. That was all sorts of crazy. And Jumo Ski is dropping an EP at the end of this month, and it's called the 8-Bit Filth EP. Big shout outs to George Vlahakis, acquaintance over there at Magic Ninja Entertainment, who's hooked me up with a copy. And I tell you what, man, very, very cool stuff, Nim. You're going to love it.
I'll be looking forward to having a cheeky little pre-order there at magicninjaaustralia.com. Hey, Nick, while we're still on the topic of music, just a little bit of planning, I think, for next week. We got to try and get your cousin Louis on board, because I believe today he's actually at the Download Festival with his lovely wife. So we ought to try and get maybe a little review, see how that went.
Oh, he is actually all locked in for next week for a totally different reason, but I'm glad you brought that up. He didn't even tell me it was going to Download, but that'll be good because we can kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, because Lewis came around to our house. We've continued our little Tuesday night tradition during the week, and for the very first time watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The first time, Nim. And I was going to get him on the show to review that.
Let me get this straight. It took him till 2018 to watch Bill and Ted.
Exactly, but that's the thing. We forget that we are old now, Nim. Bill and Ted came out the year he was born.
1990 seems like such a... I can still remember 1990 to this day, but hey, there you go.
Yeah, there you have it. And here's another little bit of fun fact. Last week when John Fitzgerald was talking about the old man on whatever NFL football team, I didn't even think about it at the time, but I asked him during the week, so how old is this old man? Have a guess.
Oh, geez. Please don't tell me it's something like, he's 36.
No, 31, Nim.
Oh, my God.
He's so old.
If that's the case, all three of us are bloody ancient.
Well, that is true. Anyways, moving right along, we are on the topic of music, and I wanted to just, throw something randomly out here. What are you guys listening to at the moment? Jay, you're a big-time metalhead. I know you do enjoy Wednesday the 13th, but you also have that softer side. You are a bit of a Nickelback fan as well.
I don't have any of that on my iPod, no. But, yeah, like I said, obviously Wednesday 13 I listen to quite regularly. Then we got Metallica, throwing a bit of Pearl Jam.
No, so I'm talking about what are you listening to currently?
Yeah,
at
that's
this
what I'm
stage.
listening to currently.
So you've got like a rotation of like 6 albums on. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll go with I've lost where I was at. Wednesday 13.
Oh my God, we need a bloody roadmap in your head, man.
Hold on a sec. This is what
I don't think. Raiders, baby! I don't think you need a roadmap. It'd just be too confusing. And yes, I know that's a joke. Yeah,
What?
Wednesday.
I didn't. I lost that one too. So I'm glad that you did the same thing there, Eddie.
At the minute, I'm listening to Wednesday 13.
I lost my train of thought.
Metallica, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and even a bit of Creedence for a guilty pleasure sort of thing.
Yeah, right. I can definitely confirm that is true because Jay did pick me up this morning, and I've also got the 2 girls here with me, Nim, in the next studio. I'm looking after the little ones today, and the old Jay had the Metallica blasting first thing in the morning, which is great to see, man.
Yeah, nothing like, having your wonderful daughters have to put up with Master of Puppets or something on the way.
No, we were thrown back to load this morning.
Oh, geez. This is what I love about Jay, because sometimes, you never know what you can get. Sometimes there's a little bit of kill switch engaged that he really is. It's like Jay's car is like going into a Sanity from 1999.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
A Sanity from 1999 and like a rubbish dump from 2018. We're moving past all the bottles and whatnot in the back seat. Was hilarious.
There it is.
Hey, dude, I still appreciate the lift.
Exactly, Jay. You know, we're not saying anything bad here. And let's face it. What, are you trying to say that you jump in and you've got the latest banger from bloody, I don't know, Taylor Swift in 2018 in your car? I don't
hell
think
no.
so.
Hell no, he doesn't.
That rubbish will never go across my stereo.
Yeah,
Oh, he's hyped up there.
he's amped. He's really amped.
And hey, we are talking music, and I didn't even have this in the notes, but did you see Jonathan Davies is releasing a solo album, Jay?
Actually, yes, I did see this. It's making me really, really amped again for this album. Actually, I think you posted a video onto my Facebook wall a little while ago from it
Yeah,
too.
I certainly did, man. I actually, when I posted that, thought it was a one-off. But yeah, back in the day, Nim, Jay thought he was Jonathan Davies. It was
No, I
a
didn't.
great thing. Like, you know how he goes through those phases?
All because I could just nail down that little scat bit that was in Got the Life or whatever, and Ned just sort of thinks, oh, I'm sexy Jonathan Davies.
That and the fact that you dress like him.
I was about to say, because if there's anyone that would be, out of the three of us, if there was anyone that would be determined some sort of freak on a leash, pardon the pun, it would be you, Jay.
And speaking of the little scat thing, let the listeners hear.
Nope.
Oh, God. Hey, so is this a completely side solo project to Korn, or what's going to happen there?
I don't know too much about it, to be 100% honest with you there, Nim. I just sort of threw to it there, but I did see it comes out in May, though. But maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that next week when Lewis gives us his review of Download, who Korn, of course, are playing there.
On the topic of what's on iPod, I actually was listening to a fair bit of Limp Bizkit the other day.
Nice.
Because, let's face it, the guys get a lot of hate.
They do.
They do.
Really get a lot of hate. And I forgot just how much that, you know, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water was such an influential album. Get this, Nettie, 17 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
Well, see, that was sort of past my Limp Bizkit prime, but their album, the one before it, what was it called?
That was
No, that was their first
Significant
one.
Other.
Was it Significant
Yeah,
Other?
Significant
Yeah,
Other.
that was like one of
Yeah.
the best albums ever. Loved
Hell
it.
yeah.
That was, man. And as you were saying before, like with Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water too, Nimmy, that was also all over WrestleMania 17.
Yes.
There he goes.
And the other one, too, like, here's something, while we're talking about Limp Bizkit, let's not forget, too, do you remember how big Limp Bizkit was back then? I mean, remember they did the theme song to, like, Mission Impossible 2?
Yes.
How many Mission Impossibles are out now? What, like 7 or something?
Yeah, it's up to like, Mission Impossible 7 or 8 or something.
And on the topic of Significant Other, I can't believe that I forgot to mention that, because that, of course, was the album that had Nookie on it.
Yes, exactly. That song right there, Nookie. Man, it was so fantastic. I did it all for the Nookie. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, like, Jay likes to embarrass me. And I'll embarrass myself here, sort of thing, because he's been trying to think of something embarrassing. But he thought he was Jonathan Davies. I basically thought I was Fred Durst. It was like Jonathan Davies and Ned Durst over here. Like that was our thing.
That's a good one. And another side note too: anyone that has got a copy of WWF Just Bring It on PlayStation 2, which was released, I believe, in 2003. No, 2001. Fred Durst is actually a hidden character in the game.
Wow.
He is. He's actually he is a hidden character.
There you go. I was just like, I knew that, you idiot. So you've been listening to a bit of Limp Bizkit. Anything else there at the moment, man?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, along with Limp Bizkit, I've been listening to a lot of Ed Sheeran.
I was going to say, I wonder if he's going to drop one of his mainstream bands because the thing is about him is, God, we love him. He has got the most bizarre taste in music that you will ever hear. And this, people, is what Herbs is always talking about. Dig what you dig and what is it?
Yeah, dig what you dig. Don't take any other fool's madness.
Exactly. So Nim loves himself some Five. He loves himself some Ed Sheeran. He loves himself some pretty much any mainstream band. But at the same time, he will go and listen to GMO Ski and
Limp Bizkit, as he's just pointed out.
Exactly. That's cool. So Ed Sheeran's on high rotation along with Limp Bizkit.
And, because here's the thing, one of my jobs, Nettie, maybe the listeners don't know it, I work for a sports radio station and I have to build these things to a clock. So stations around the country are able to listen to our AFL football coverage.
Yep.
And not a lot of people know this, but an hour before the game starts, so let's just say It starts at midday. We have a test feed, which is just music that's sent out for 1 hour. So at 11 o'clock, my music choices will go out across the country for people just to test that it works. And Nick Del Santo, former St Kilda great and North Melbourne player as well, walked in an hour early one football game, and Getting Jiggy With It by Will Smith was played. And he just sort of said, wow, I haven't heard this in years. And I'm like, well, get used to it, Belle, because we're going to be hearing a lot of it.
And that's great right there, man. It's great to see that you're sort of blowing up in that sense too, man, because he, of course, was one of your heroes, yeah?
Yeah, very much so. And I'm glad to see that he enjoys my 90s bizarre music choice, because I think it went from Will Smith to Roll an Air Raid Vehicle by Biscuit.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome there. And well, on the topic of footy, Nim, I guess we do need to talk a little bit about our boy Bird right here and his football career, man. He came around last night to watch the NBL game, which we will talk about shortly, and he was in all sorts of pain. I did the old punch to the stomach, and you did not enjoy that, did you, Jay?
Yeah, no, a little bit sort of banged up. We had our sort of inter-club practice match the night before.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, you cop a few elbows and, yeah, especially across the face and whatnot, and a few joints were a bit stiff and sore. But that was good.
So essentially, for any of our listeners overseas, it's basically a scratch match between the teams. But you went pretty hard there, Bert.
Yeah.
Was there any of this, Jay?
Raiders, baby! None of that. Yeah, it was pretty full on. It's always, as you expect, full contact and everything. Plus, probably not the best thing to be doing when you're in your mid to late 30s, but never mind.
Hey, man, that's where we highly respect you running around for the shirt tearers, and we can't wait to see. Because this time last year, actually, this time 2 years ago, Taylor's Lake, your boys, the reserves, actually upset one of the favourite teams in the reserves grand final to win the granny, if I recall.
Yeah, you did. Southern Mallee Giants were huge favourites to win that, and yeah, we rolled them.
Yeah, well, you didn't, but
no, I
didn't. That inspired him to roll off the couch and put the boots back on, though.
I did like the fact, though, because the Taylor's Lake Football Club, they are proudly white and red, and it's good to see, we know that you've had your share of injury problems, Jay, because clearly your shoulders and stuff is just essentially a stack of dimes. But nonetheless, it's good to see you back on the park, man. I can't wait to see you play some reserves. So when does the season proper start, Jay?
It's the 7th of April.
7th of April. Oh, very, very nice. Can't wait to see you running around on Dock Lake. Do you have a home game to kick you off?
Yeah, we do.
Oh. Great fun.
We're going to have to tie it in, Nim. You've got to come down for a day. We'll check out Herbs playing footy and then top it off with WrestleMania, I think.
WrestleMania, yes. That would be a great idea. Get down to Dock Lake Oval. We'll see Jay do his best up against the might of Laharm. You idiot! Get out of it!
Yelling Raiders, baby, and get some yards. I like that a lot. I think that's a good idea, man. And apparently the Taylor's Lake Football Club, a big-time Married at First Sights fan, as Herbs was saying, it's not just me, it's the entire club. This is a funny little story for you, on the Married at First Sight thing. Jay came around on Tuesday night, which I thought was the finale of Married at First Sight. I'm like, nah, bro, don't come over. I know you really dig it. And anyway, he come over with me and Lewis was like, no, I always put my boys first, nothing but love, boys always first. And then I find out the finale was on Wednesday.
There we go.
I ain't missing that finale, idiot.
I'll tell you what, though, Jay. I have been very, very amazed at just how much Married at First Sight has blown up. Because do you remember a couple of years ago, Nettie, when it first came out, we were all just like, had outraged people. People were just like, this is outrageous. How is it in a era? It's a mockery of marriage, blah, blah, blah. Now, it's like the hottest thing's going around.
It is, man. It's hotter than those feet of Jay Herbert as he kicks another goal.
Fancy few. But, Jay, what are you going to do now that you and the lovely soon-to-be bride aren't going to have some reality TV to be watching? Are you going to swap to something else? Are you going to start watching I don't know, what other reality TV's out now?
I definitely know, like, My Kitchen Rules and all that is still in full swing, so
Come on, him.
who knows? April and I might curl up and watch some of that, or even throw back to some Total Divas or whatever.
Curl up.
Here's something that we need to point out too, because on the topic of My Kitchen Rules, because Jay, in case you didn't know, is a qualified chef and has been professionally doing it for a couple of years. The interesting thing that I find is, if anyone hasn't seen My Kitchen Rules, it's basically 2 judges and the rest of the contestants come around to your house. Could you imagine Pete and Manu going around to Jay's house? Just a ding dong, who's that?
You're an idiot, Peter Manu.
Feed your face!
And I could just picture Jay sweating in the kitchen, running around. As
That's a horrible picture.
Yeah, that's a disturbing image right there, I can tell you that.
Pete and Manu and bloody the best friends from Nowra, Jenny and Simpkins or something, are probably sitting there going, when we first got to the house, we were just blown away by the amount of Megadeth coming in.
He's there listening to Megadeth and then they go to use the bathroom and just horrified.
I love the idea that Jay's doing those little talking head pieces where, it'll have like Manu all of a sudden going, and then when he brought out the Thai green curry, we asked him for a glass of water, and he looked at us and just kept looking. And then it cuts to like Jay sitting there going, I was waiting for him.
I'm thinking. I love it.
Everyone knows if you're eating really spicy food, you drink milk or something.
Oh, you're an idiot,
You're an idiot. There it is. That was such
I did not say that. I did not say that. That you're an idiot.
I love it.
I'm just loving how you're dropping that Raiders baby in at just complete random moments. It's
We
great.
do love.
I love the idea that Jay has just said to Manu, you want milk, idiot?
Is some 6-month-old milk Manu. Get on it. All right, let's change things up before we do run out of time. We've still got the NBL final and Nims, a bit of wrestling, man. I want to jump into this. You lucky dude, but well deserved. You chatted to my favorite wrestler I'm assuming it was very recently, AJ Styles. Tell us all about it.
Thanks, Nate. I was very, very stoked, and I had to pinch myself numerous times to chat to the one and only, the phenomenal one, the face that runs the place, the champ that runs the camp, WWE champion AJ Styles. Yeah. Took some time out of his massively busy schedule to have a cheeky little chat with me for about 10 minutes or so. Yeah, we covered a lot of things, man, because he is... have you finished watching Fastlane, Nettie?
Haven't started it, but you just go. It's all good. It's very old now.
Yeah. Spoiler alert! But what happens, he will be taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. And this is the really cool thing, Nettie, because we've actually seen the first Shinsuke versus AJ match, because a couple of years ago, remember when AJ was doing his rounds, when he left TNA Wrestling before he came to WWE, he was sort of in Japan, he was in Ring of Honor. And this is how much, like when Nettie says that AJ is his favourite wrestler, we actively sought out the Ring of Honor shows that he was on. We watched the New Japan shows that he was on. Remember, we weren't just sniffing him out, and we ended up watching some very horribly synced videos where the sound would be like 3 seconds before the move.
Yes.
Like that. But we just really wanted to watch, and we actually got to see at Wrestle Kingdom AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Bear in mind that was like 3 years ago now, so I barely can remember it, but it'd be good to see it again on WrestleMania, and it was good to chat to AJ about that. Talked a little bit about his time wrestling for Jeff Jarrett, because as the WWE do like to sometimes retweet my podcast, I don't mention TNA or anything like that. It was cool to sort of chat to him, and he's a really nice guy. It was just a cool little chat to have, and I'm really looking forward to WrestleMania in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, same, man. And that's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to listening to this one, and it's great that he was a great dude, because there's nothing worse. And that's the thing that sucks, like when you're in our profession, you talk to someone that you've really looked up to, and they turn out to be a douche. So It's awesome that AJ was cool, man. I think that's great.
Yeah, well, I'll have to eventually get around to sharing some of those little link gimmicks and have a cheeky listen, because it was really a pretty good chat with the phenomenal one.
Oh, that is awesome. And yes, to those listening, all of these Nims's wrestling podcasts are going to be on the website. We are working on it.
TBA, we'll get around to it.
Yeah, it is happening. All right, we've got a couple of minutes left to discuss the NBL Game 3 from last night, boys, before we jump into my interview with Leigh Kakaty of Pop Evil, which is heading your way next. Did you see it, Nim?
Oh, mate, I had one eye on the grand final, one eye on the footballs. I was watching things J.Cell Herbert style, which was kind of cool.
Multitasking.
Yeah, very much so.
One eye on you, one eye on the remote.
Talk about an intense game. Adelaide were really behind the ball going into this purely because they were missing, one of their key men, Josh Childress. And you can tell that they really, really needed him. But Nathan Sobey, he got ejected at half-time.
Yeah, it was an interesting little thing. It looked like Casey Prather sort of...
I didn't actually see that because I was watching. It was a horrible night if you're an Adelaide sports fan because Adelaide were leading in the AFL and then they lost in the final quarter. And then they lose in the basketball and are literally one game away from losing the championship. Yeah, not a good day for an Adelaide supporter.
Yeah, not at all. And, you know me, man, I'm a big-time fan of the underdogs, and Adelaide had everything stacked against them last night in this game. Like, as you mentioned, Childress was out. Ramon Moore did his ankle halfway through it. He did end up coming back on. But yeah, Sobey, who of course plays for Australia, very, very good player. A little bit of a hothead though, we found out. Ejected at half-time. So they had everything stacked against them and still almost won this game. It came down to the final possession, which makes me think... Throwback to game 2. They destroyed Melbourne. Yeah. They had everything stacked against them last night and still almost won. So this series is far from over. I think Adelaide will come out banging tomorrow, probably win it, and then game 5 could go either way.
It could, even last night's game, it was just literally the last, I think, 2 or 3 minutes, both you and myself, Nettie, we're just sitting on the edge of our seats this can go either way. It was just absolutely intense.
What I found pretty interesting too, there was a fair bit of controversy in the week too. Joey Wright, who's the coach of the 36ers, and one of my favourite coaches to watch because he seems like one of the saltiest blokes you will ever see.
Oh, hell yeah.
He seems like a cat that just speaks his mind because he actually got fined a fair chunk of cash because he questioned the refereeing standards in game 1, but obviously he was a lot happier in game 2.
I bet he was.
It'd be very interesting to see what sort of happens too. Mitch Creek, well, he wasn't exactly bad. He's still an absolute superstar. But, sometimes, we see with United, with guys like Casper Ware, and they've actually got a team of superstars. And not that Adelaide doesn't, but when you do miss guys like Childress, it just, spreads the load out onto the star players to lift even more.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And there's a great little battle there going on between Shannon Shorter and Casper Ware. Shannon Shorter come out during the week and basically said Casper Ware was nothing and they were going to wrap it up last night. That lit a fire up Casper, and he really came out and played very well. So, game 4. Melbourne could win it all tomorrow, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there, boys. Predictions, real quick?
Yeah, I'm going to say that Melbourne's going to take this.
Really? In Adelaide? That's amazing. That's a great... Hopefully we'll see what happens, Jay.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, man. I think especially this is a game that Adelaide must win because otherwise, series over. And especially with the hostile Adelaide fan base behind them, they're just going to come out all guns blazing. I reckon Adelaide's going to take it.
Yeah, I've got a feeling Adelaide might take this one as well, Nim, but I hope you are right. I think they'll come out all sorts of crazy.
I just reckon that, because the only reason I say that Melbourne will win tomorrow night at the Adelaide Arena is because, Dean Vickerman, coach of Melbourne United, he's coach of the year, and he's the sort of guy where he uses all these losses like we saw before the fever break when they got decimated by the Wildcats at home. That kind of fueled that team to sort of push on and keep going. And I think it was in the regular season, Nettie, towards before the finals started, where Melbourne lost to Illawarra.
Yeah.
And I think it was literally one of the last games of the year, because I was listening to it on the radio, because thankfully the radio station I work at, we broadcast the NBL games, and I just remember thinking this is not what you want going into the final series, but sometimes you bounce back from losses. And look, can you see guys like Chris Chris Golding or, Castellera or stuff like that, sort of sitting there going, you know what? We remember what happened last time we were here. Let's use that and make sure it doesn't happen again and really, S in the proverbial cereal of the 36ers.
I hope you were right, man, and you make some very, very good points there. But we will leave it at that, fellas. Thank you so much. We will be, of course, back next week. We're going to jump into that Pop Evil interview up next. Anything else you'd like to drop in there real quick, Jay?
Raiders, baby!
It'll get old quick. No, it won't.
No, it won't. One last one. If you can get your eyes to a TV, check out the NBL final because, man, Australian basketball is doing fantastically. And Ned, I do want to quickly mention that August in 2019, Etihad Stadium, Boomers versus Team USA.
Oh, yeah, we'll cover that more next week, Nimmy Nim. That is going to be all sorts of amazing, and we are on a 55,000 person waiting list for that one.
Just a couple of lazy 55s out there.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, fellas. We will talk next week.
Raiders, baby!
This is Brits, White Jesus, and you're now listening to The Underground.
Leigh of Pop Evil joins us on the Underground Amps. Leigh, how are you, man?
Real good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going really good, man. But before we jump into this, how do we pronounce your last name, man? Is it Kakaty or is it Kakaty?
You got it right the first try. Are you kidding me? Kakaty, you got it. You nailed it.
No, because I've got to admit, man, I've got an American buddy who I rang before this to get the pronunciation because I'm a silly Australian. I was going to say Kakaty, and he's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's Kakaty, so you don't want to start off with that awkwardness, but I thought I'd throw it out there anyway.
Yeah, you did good, man. You did good. I'm impressed.
Awesome, man. Now, you've just released your latest self-titled project. What can you tell us about this one, Leigh?
We're so proud of this one. We took the most time to make it. We really tried to put a positive spin and a perfect blend of catchy melodic hooks and the blend of rock, metal, and alternative music. That's kind of always been the Pop Evil thing. We hate standing still. We don't want to just write one song 11 or 12 times. We really want to mix it up and give our fan base different stuff. And we want to challenge ourselves as musicians, too, to grow and have fun with our fans.
Oh, most definitely, man. And it sort of jumped out at me as well because the whole album is solid. There's not just the one or two sort of singles on there. You could pretty much release anything as a single off this one, so stand-up job.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
No worries at all, man. Now, growing up in Michigan, what sort of influence did that have on the band and your sound?
I think it had a big influence on us. We were constantly fed, the rock and roll vibe that is Detroit, Rock City, from anything from MC5 to Bob Seger to Kid Rock to Eminem. It was all there, and their pride for their state. And there was a lot of, growing up on the beach, right? So we grew up on the Great Lakes, so there was always an acoustic guitar around. We were always kind of, hanging out at the beach during the weekdays with our acoustic guitars, and once the weekend hit, we crank up those amps and try to break windows, So that was kind of the yin and yang early on in our kind of life that really kind of cemented, the variety that is Pop Evil now.
Oh, nice, man. That's what I like to hear. We actually visited there earlier on in the year, and driving through the snowman is something else. Every time my wife and I jumped in the car, it felt like we were going to die. So hats off to you for persevering through that.
Yeah, it's, we try not to be there in Michigan in the winter, because it is brutal. There's no doubt about it. But, I think what keeps most people in Michigan is the summers. We get that 3 or 4 months that are just breathtaking, and it's all fresh water. So it's a special place, and it's very blue collar. It's very much passionate, very much believing in, rock and roll. It's one of those pockets in the U.S. that rock and roll is still king, so it's a special place.
Nice, man. Nice. And I hear you're a big Detroit Lions fan. I'm not huge on the Lions, but how about the Pistons? Are you on them?
Yeah, right now, I was Kobe, LeBron. I like living through, obviously, I'm a religious Jordan fan. So, I like living through the greats, So, and of course, LeBron, do his thing. And of course, I like Golden State as well, just because they're just so good. But I'm Pistons. I'm everything Detroit sports, no doubt. Unfortunately, the Pistons have had a couple rocky years. But, I'm religious Detroit Lion football. I take it every year. I'm always like, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. One game in, I'm like, okay, maybe not this year. Maybe not this year. So, it's just that pride in where you come from, and it's cool for sure.
I definitely know what you're saying there. I've been told by a bit of a trustworthy source here too, Leigh, that you've got a bit of a hidden talent in rapping. Is that true?
Well, I grew up, I'm a mixed guy, so I was always rapping, I was always rocking, and was always doing ballads as well. I mean, you name it, I was that guy that was always just, you give me a song, I'm going to do it. I was never scared to kind of search for my identity. I didn't really fit in, I think, and looking back, I think Rage was such a big influence because I could actually look like Zach De La Rocha in a way, I was like, oh wow, he at least kind of looked like this dude, so once Rage broke up, I was devastated, it was a loss, I didn't know what I was going to do, so the only way I could hear a Rage song was I had to learn how to do it myself, so I think that triggered it. Obviously the Eminem, the Kid Rock days, Bob, when I think about Kid Rock in the early days, he was always rapping, so I think most of us in that era, we were always doing both, especially someone like me, so being able to kind of have fun and explore and chase these albums in a different way, it's fun. I took some of my, I have such a huge catalog of songs, being able to take some of my old rap songs and turn them and flip them into, melody and flip them into possible Pop Evil songs. It's fun, and I think that's the thing that you hear on this record is the band was having fun in ways that we had never had before. We're not so much afraid to fall or to fall on the face, we want to take chances and we know there's no big reward without big risks, and we're not afraid to take those risks and, whatever, if we feel like we can play those songs good on stage, we'll do it.
Oh, hell yeah, that's the perfect answer right there. And you mentioned Rage Against the Machine in there, and I could hear a definite Rage influence in this last record. Really popped through.
Yeah, they're one of my favorites, of course. I think they're one of our favorite bands collectively. All five of us, when we say Rage, we all get excited. And, you don't hear a lot of it anymore. But it's not my first time rapping. I've rapped on Trenches. I just think it really comes out when I rap now. You can just, obviously there's similarities. And maybe when I sing, too, you hear a little bit of the Alice in Chains, the Pearl Jam influence. Those were my bands growing up. I probably learned how to sing listening to Eddie Vedder. He was king for me when I think looking back. That was it. I don't even think I can listen to Pearl Jam records anymore because I blew them out. That's all I would listen to religiously, night and day. Any girl I would meet, any guy I would meet, it's like, you like Pearl Jam? Okay, then we can be friends. It's like, okay, I'm out. So, it was just, or Rage, it was just, that was my thing because I really loved Pearl Jam, how they could go heavy, but you could also see them on like MTV Storytellers and they could do their songs acoustic. I was always like mesmerized with that because it was so Michigan. Growing up in Michigan was the Great Lakes. It was being on the beach with those acoustic guitars, and then of course, on the weekends it was all electric. So I definitely think we're a product of that, and you definitely hear that influence, on our record.
Oh yes, indeed, man. And when are we going to hear that down here? Is there any talk of a Pop Evil Australian tour? I guess you've heard it a few times throughout these interviews, but we'd be really keen to see it live.
Yeah, this is like priority number one. We've been talking about it for the past 3 years. Speaking for the band, I know we've been dreaming. We never thought in our wildest dreams we'd ever get to go to Australia, but to now have it be like a reality and we could actually, play music there. It's just, to us, we don't even know we have fans that, it's just an incredible thing that it's still humbling to know that, wow, this little band from Michigan could actually be touring there. If it was up to the band, we would be there already, so it's definitely something that we are hoping that is going to happen this year. If not, it's definitely a high priority for next year. We're trying to get the festivals thing, and once we get a couple festivals, we can kind of control our own destiny and come over there and do some headline stuff and play longer. So hopefully, I know that our managers is, again, priority number one. So we're hoping that it's going to happen before the year's out, hopefully.
Well, that's definitely what we want to hear, and I guess it's a bit of a case of watch this space, Leigh, and changing things up, man. Do you have a bit of a recommendation for us? It can be anything. What does Leigh from Pop Evil recommend?
Oh my gosh. I think if anything that I could do now is just trying to enjoy, even from the way we live off stage now, we used to party, do it all up. Now it's about, trying to get the vocal coach and doing the little things to really appreciate what matters, man. And that is the people next to you. We're not bringing any of this stuff. So I challenge someone to just get to, tell that person next to you that you don't know you love that, hey man, I had a good time with you today. I'm really glad I got to hang with you and throw my horns up at this rock show because, wow, I didn't even know you were there. It's so cool that you like what I like. Challenge yourself to be kind to that person next to you and tell them you're grateful that you enjoyed that minute or two or that hour with them, and obviously your loved ones, make sure you hug your loved ones and tell them how much you're grateful for the love they give you back. Having lost my dad in 2011, that's all I think about. All these times that I wish I would have just told them, just, hey man, I love you. What did you eat? And I'd always blow him off. I'm like, of course. What do you mean, what did I eat, Dad? I ate I eat for free, man. The band just feeds me whatever they want, so it's just kind of those moments that I'd say just, take time to appreciate the little things. That's what I'd say.
Most definitely, man. Sounds like you've got your head switched on right there. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Leigh. We really appreciate it.
Right on, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to push the band in Australia, and I promise you I'll do my part to make sure we get down there sooner than later.
Oh, hell yeah. We're really looking out for it. Be sure to hit up Pop Evil on Facebook, facebook.com/popevil. Their brand new self-titled album is out now.
Raiders, baby!
And the people want a bit of Married at First Sight, and I know nothing about it, but my buddy Jay does, and I called him a little earlier. Check it out. All right, here we go. Calling a guy that knows nothing more than Married at First Sight.
It is.
Jay, how are you, man?
Doing good. What's up?
Not too much at all, buddy. Hey, I'm not going to pretend that I know Married at First Sight, but there's a lot of people that do, and I know you are a big Married at First Sight guy, and I want to know your opinions on Tracy dumping Dean. Apparently he confessed his love and she shut him down.
Well, you know what? To tell you the truth, man, considering everything that Dean had sort of put Tracy through, yeah, you could kind of see it coming.
Oh, very emotional stuff right there. Are you looking forward to the next exciting episode, Jay?
I can't wait to sit down with my beautiful girl and watch it.
Oh, heck yes. Let's jump back into the music. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Your levels.
Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, idiot.
Jay?
I think Nims is just beating up with the old check 1 2, check 1 2.
No, but this is just so we can actually check your levels, Jay. It's like, well, Nims has done his.
I don't think you understand the concept, Jay. He can't check your levels.